Hey guys, it's Sunday, and one of those moments where I wanted to get out and have a walk. Working with some anger, and all the while I'm on it and I'm working and being aware of it and I'm working on it. That's the good thing, because you don't like going to that other area. I work with anger and rage a lot, and even when I'm getting up to that point now, this past few days, I don't know how I'm doing it, but it's working. Well, I do know how I'm doing it. It's doing therapy and wanting to change and having the intent to change and a complete awareness of what's going on and what can cause anger, and being aware of when you may start first feeling those feelings in your body, to where you're quite aware of where that could go, and there's a consciousness with it. That's when you start getting control and start working on that anger. And even though I got right up in there, I was angry, but I wasn't speaking with anger. It's a calm voice, and held the control. So the next part was just going out, walking, getting in touch with what's going on, doing some breathing, becoming present with what's outside, and just calming the mind. Because anger's not worth it, guys. I've been there so many bloody times, especially with rage. Once you hit that rage button, it's game over. You become a different person. And I can't stand that guy. That guy turns into, I don't know who it is. I don't know who it is. In fact, I did yoga yesterday, and there was a lot on anger in it, which really hit some notes with me, as far as I know. I went for a load of emotion when I did the yoga, put it that way. That's how I know it was hitting nerves. I was going through some things there, and spoke out about it too, and said, hey, feeling quite emotional. And it's when you do something to where you're able to work on that and take your own control back instead of it controlling you, it's a major win, guys, especially when it comes to anger and rage. It's a major win. And it takes all those things that I spoke of just now in the beginning of this. It takes that awareness. It takes that starting to get in touch with how it actually feels within the body, what you feel, what's going on. Awareness of thought, what's happening with your thinking. Where's it coming from? Is it the actual event that's in front of you, or is it triggering to somewhere? Guys, a lot of the time it's triggering somewhere. It's just to trigger what's happening in front of you. So it's a matter of getting in touch with all that and working on it and pulling yourself back to center and not engaging with the thinking, and sure, not engaging with the anger. Because as soon as you start engaging with it and it starts flowing, that's it. You're going to be in. Put space. If you put space between the thinking or the emotion, now you can look at the emotion without getting attached to it. That takes practice, guys. That's the stuff I teach. It takes breath work. It takes all different types of ways of getting in touch with your mind and then looking at it instead of being engaged with it. If you engage with it, especially with your thinking, you engage with it, that becomes your reality, becomes part of that present moment. Could be coming from somewhere else, somewhere, could be past, anywhere. But now it's your present moment. Now it's ruining that moment of maybe something that's happened years ago. So it's a matter of getting in touch, start becoming aware. And I work with my anger with my therapist all the time, and I'm starting to get a decent grip. Well, I have over the past few days. I tell you, I've been really zoning into it and surprising myself how I'm really tuning in and being like, okay, it seems to have gone to another level of depth with me. and it's I'm quite proud of myself. I gotta say, I'm quite proud of myself, because people that know that anger and rage that I have know where I go and how I am, including my therapist. So win-win-win. I'm loving the fact that I'm actually staying on top of it. So, but don't let it sit either. Talk about it. Get it out your system. That's what therapy is good for. Is just coming in even and just venting, letting anger go. I've had people sit in front of me get angry, and I say, "How'd you feel now?" Better. So don't let it sit. Otherwise, it just sits there, and it becomes another problem down the road. Probably another trigger. So it's better to try and work with your mind and work with someone that you can talk to that's neutral, and get those things out in the open, and work on the little bits and pieces, and find out where these things are coming from. Because then you have a little bit of an understanding of yourself, and you sure have a little bit of a better understanding of your anger. So it's knowing where that anger comes from. Because triggers are going to be around you everywhere. Every day there's a trigger, everywhere. People, situations, it could be unavoidable things like traffic, and someone that's late. There's a whole different, but you know what? We can all take control of our mind, and we can all breathe and think. And once you start putting that space, and you breathe and you think, now you're in the higher vibrations, guys. Now you're starting to be in your power and in your control, not the other way around. Anger is not going to give you control. We think it does. But what happens at the end of the anger, especially if it's really kicking up, and what if you're wrong? What if you now have to put your hand up? I've been there, guys. I've been there. There's times that I've gone into rages, and then afterwards I had to put my hand up. And I do say had to, because it was all down to me, my responsibility. And that's the other responsibility, is being able to put your hand up. That's a responsibility to yourself. Otherwise you sit there with the guilt. Don't try and be the macho guy, or try and be that person that's, is like, no, I'm not going to say sorry, because all that does is just keep the anger there. If you've done something wrong, put your hand up and own up to it. Because as soon as you put your hand up and own up to it, you're able to let that piece go. Now you're not angry with that piece. You may still have a little bit of anger, a little bit of guilt, sorry. But you know what? If you apologise wholeheartedly from the heart, and you mean it, and then you start shifting and changing, then you can let that go. That piece you can let go. It's the pieces, parts that you're standing up and trying to defend, because of the ego gets in the way too. And if you start letting that ego get in the way when anger comes into it, thinking that you're better than, stronger than, bigger than, more powerful than, I'm in control, you're not in control. You're not in control. And yeah, you may be powerful, but for what? What are you defending? What's powerful? Does that give you that kind of like, look at me, I'm better than, I've beat it? Because I tell you what, the feeling after is way, way worse. You're not gonna feel good afterwards. It's gonna play on your mind, it's gonna sit there, and it's gonna just fester. And it's just going to be there, guys. You're better off keeping a calm mind and doing what you have to do to walk away from it, like I just did. Just get out for a stroll. Let everybody know that you're leaving, or people know that you're leaving the house or whatever, so people ain't, even if you've had a bit of an argument there, and you just be, even if it's one person in that family household, just so that everybody can know. Yeah. And then there's those times to talk. So, stay the course, guys. Stay on top of that anger. Namaste.